when I read something that, is powerful, such as this quote that you have, as I always say, in life, you get one ticket and I'm using mine until it expires. And I read that and I'm like, she's using her one ticket so using your one ticket. And I had to read it again. And I'm like, and you'll have that aha moment that just click right into your head when you read something like this. I absolutely love this quote, how you said it. I think of, the conversation we just had and, the career that you're still having, and you're using your ticket until it expires.
Yeah, TikTok, I'm just rolling on the block. Recently heard that pocket show about to start. Heard that. You should know if entertainment is your goal. You talking sports or travel, yo. This the hottest pod show. Heard that. She got shoes, everything she says is truth. If you don't know, now you know. All you ever gotta say is heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that. Look, all you ever gotta say.
What's up, Heard That Nation? Listening in the United States and around the world, you are now listening to the Heard That with Marise Tigney podcast. If you are watching right now on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you stay in the know of every new episode and incredible guests that I have on my show. It is March, which means we are celebrating Women's History Month, and my guest that I have with me today is a history maker in the month of March and beyond. I want to spotlight her and what she is doing. She is a former professional ice skater that now is a race car driver. How many of those do you know that do that? Nobody else. She's the only one. She won the 2015 Pro Mod World Championship and is the first female to hold that esteemed title. She is the president of Dina Parise Ventures, PR, cook, an all-around amazing wife. Dina Parise, welcome to the Heard That podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. I really am.
Long Island, y'all need to stand up and represent this woman representing Long Island, New York, growing up there. I got to tell you, when I saw your bio, that I remember the Ice Capades and I remember you skating for them. And I remember your name. I'm like, oh, wow, that's so cool. And then I go and look it up and you're standing in front of a race car. And I'm going, okay, maybe, her husband raced cars, but it says you did race car and you won a championship for that. So I'm like, okay, I got to connect with her. I got to know the backstory and how, because it's going to inspire somebody that, was in one career and is afraid of change. So I'm excited to dive right into your story about how you made that transition and what, you overcame. So growing up in Long Island, you originally did not start in ice skating. You started in gymnastics.
I was a gymnast first. Yes.
Yeah. How did that desire to go into ice skating happen while you were, starting off in gymnastics?
So I was in gymnastics for years, from the time I was small. There was some really good programs like at Hofstra University. Mm-hmm. The gentleman's name was Joel, and he ran an amazing program there. And I remember going there as a kid. And a few years after that, I told my mom I wanted to play hockey. You have to remember, I'm 56. So you have to remember this was a bit ago. Mm-hmm. And my mother was like, and my mother was kind of a tomboy, but my mom was like, no, that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I gradually got myself into figure skating. I think I was about seven or eight, and got into figure skating. And I did both for a very long time. I mean, I was co-captain of the gymnastic team in high school. So, but skating was really my passion for sure. Still is. Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. So you did figure skating, and you've done that, like you just said, did both gymnastics and figure skating. So the Ice Capades, that opportunity came along. Talk about a little bit about how you were able to connect with those people, that company, the Ice Capades, and because from what I read, there was you almost didn't get in because of a height disparity that you had.
Almost. So the story got my friend Gina Zambrano. Hi, Gina. She actually, when we were about 22 at the time, which is actually old. It was actually old to go into the show. Most of these kids, I call them kids, will go in at 18, once they're out of high school. Yeah. So I was considerably, older. Mm-hmm. I seem to start everything late. So there's that. But she said to me, they're doing auditions Friday night for the Ice Capades. And I'm like, they're never going to, me? I was like, I'm not good enough for that. She's like, oh, you definitely are. And So we went there and I did the audition and I passed. And then the gentleman who was the head of the audition pulled me aside and he said, "Where's your pen?" You know, because I had filled out the application.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, over there. He goes, "Go get it." I said, "Okay." So I went, I got the pen. And because I wrote that I was 5 feet tall. And he's like, "No, you need to change that." He's like, "You're at least 5'3". 5'4" would be better. I go, "Well, when they see me, they're going to be like, girl's looking a little short." You know what I mean?
Right.
And he said, "No, once you're there, you're there. Don't worry about it." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "As long as I don't have to wear, you know, like heels and shoulder pads everywhere I go, I'm good."
Right.
And it was fine once I got there. There were actually a couple of girls that were vertically challenged like myself. So, yeah. And then, you know, kind of the rest is history. It was probably one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I have a lot of really good friends from then. We keep in touch, thankfully, for social media, because we keep in touch via that way. And we've encouraged one another to get, I don't say we, actually, there was my friend Carla began a Facebook group that encouraging us to get back on the ice, which I've done, and I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. So you did this for 4 years. So what was your favorite places to travel to? Because I mean, literally, I know that you have gone, not, you know, just, you know, stay in the United States. Were you able to go world, you know, outside the United States, you know, different countries? Where was your favorite place to go?
So I didn't go outside the United States. We did the United States and Canada.
Okay.
And I love our friends to the north, I got to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
like Vancouver and, you know, Vancouver, British Columbia. It's just so beautiful. Victoria Island, if anybody ever wants to go, is amazing. And, you know, we met so many great people no matter where we went.
Mm-hmm.
And we were always treated so graciously that, you know, we felt a little like superstars, you know, and everybody thought it was so, you know, people always thought it was so glamorous, you know, they didn't have to ride the bus for 14 hours, you know, mending fishnets. There's a lot more to it than people realize. But it was fantastic. And I love when people tell me that they have such great memories of the show, you know, because I feel like I'm a big part of their great memories.
Mm-hmm. I love that you just talked about the friendships that you still have with many of the skaters, and that you all travel together or you met up and everything else. And that's beautiful that you all still connect. So you're doing this ice capades and you know, skating and you putting on these amazing shows. Drag racing. When did that come into the picture? Because that's just like a whole transition from, you know, because many skaters, you know, they go and they skate and they'll go and they have an amazing career. And then, you know, they'll retire and go into coaching, or they'll do something else that's still in the broad realm of ice skating. But you took a whole different path. So how did you transition to that? Was there somebody that inspired you, or, you know, you watched the drag car race? What was it?
So I feel like I'm a little bit of a jack of all trades. So to kind of give everyone the big picture, from 22 to like 26, I guess, that's when I was in ice capades. And then I actually had gotten married and divorced. I was working as I became a hairdresser when I was 18 years old. So I worked as a hairdresser before I went into the show. I actually did some hairdressing in the show, which was great. It was good extra money. And I got to take care of wigs and that kind of thing. So I got married, I got divorced, and then I met my husband. We're going to be married 23 years.
Congratulations. That's beautiful.
Thank you. On April Fool's Day, because it's perfect for us. And when I met him, now I had always liked racing. I watched NASCAR, Formula One. I was always a race fan, but never really drag racing. You know, I had seen it years ago, you know, on Wide World of Sports, for those of you who remember. And but I had never actually been to a drag race. My husband and we got married, and I think it was right before we got married, I should say. He had built a car that he was originally going to show, then he decided to race it. And the very first time I hit a drag strip, I was like in my 30s, my early 30s.
Oh, wow.
And I fell in love with the sport. I fell in love with the camaraderie. I fell in love with the people. Of course, I fell in love with the speed. I mean, what's not to like?
Right.
And you're outside, it's just it's a great family event.
Yeah.
I mean, we see people, from grandparents to grandchildren and everyone in between, male, female. So it's just such a great sport. And the very first time I watched him go down the track, I fell in love with it. And he had spoken to my mom, and he goes, "I think we're in trouble." And she goes, "What do you mean?" He said, "Because I think she really likes this sport a little too much." And then I went to Frank Hawley drag racing school. And I started driving the car he was driving, which was a 67 Camaro. And he was building a Pro Mod at the time, because we had two cars. We had two Pro Mods at one point. So
Right.
He was building his Pro Mod, and I raced that for about a year and a half, and then I got bored. Let's go faster.
You wanted a new challenge, yeah.
My husband actually bought me a 67 Camaro RS SS body, which was a little on the rare side, somewhat. And I said to him, "Well, that's really great, but I really want to go Pro Mod racing." Because that was for a class that's a little bit below, which would be top sportsman. Fantastic class, but it's like one step below. I wanted to go Pro Mod racing. And after I picked him up off the floor, my brother Charlie bought that body, and they actually redid that car together, which was a great project for them.
Right.
And my first Pro Mod. So we ran two Pro Mods for a few years, which was great, my husband and myself. It was a lot of fun.
Talk a little bit about Pro Mod for those that are watching and listening. And part two of that, because I had people think that drag racing is the same as, NASCAR and all of that. Talk about the differences between what you do and NASCAR.
Sure. So one of the biggest distinctions is the fact that we don't turn left. We are a straight run. It's two cars, straight run. And the full length is quarter mile. Most of the series now run eighth mile. The cars have gotten so fast, they've kind of cut them down to eighth mile. It doesn't sound like a lot, but a lot can happen in an eighth of a mile.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, these cars are going low three. So when we say low threes, meaning it's 3.85 seconds in 660 feet at almost 200 miles an hour, or over 200 miles an hour. So they're quite fast. They're quite quirky, which I kind of like about them. Our cars are about our particular class, because each classes can vary, which is another great thing about our sport. Our class in particular, we're about 3,000 horsepower. So if you think about your family car, maybe 100 horsepower, we're 3,000.
Right.
And it's an undertaking, but it's a lot of fun. So we don't turn left. And we don't have like car numbers, let's just say, for you to differentiate. We do have a license number that has to go in the window, but people don't really focus on that. So it's our names, or like my car name is Stella, after my grandma, who, by the way, never had a license in her whole entire life. And so we go by like car names and personalities as opposed to car numbers. The one great thing I love about drag racing is the fact that every ticket is a pit pass. In NASCAR, it's not a knock to NASCAR, it's just an observation. In NASCAR, you actually need like a golden ticket to get back into the garage area. Whereas in drag racing, you purchase your ticket and you can walk right through, and you're right there with the cars, the drivers. You can get autographs. They have autograph cards and that kind of thing. So it really is a one-on-one. And I feel like we really do build a relationship with our fans. I have fans that I've met over the years that I still see on social media. Hey, how are you? How are the kids? Or,
that's awesome.
Or the kids I met when they were young and now they're grown. And because we've been doing this for about 20 years. So it's a fantastic sport. I love the fact that there's so many. So NASCAR is one group of cars that goes around the track for the entire race, as opposed to us, where we have different classes of racing. all racing in the same day, 2x2. So that's the nice thing about it, is because they get to see such an eclectic group of cars.
Yeah.
My car is what's considered like a 2013 Cadillac CTSV, because every girl from New York needs a 3,000 horsepower Cadillac. And but there's everything from Cadillacs, Camaros. I mean, there's just Willys. There's so many different types of cars, and so I feel like people really get a good bang for their buck when they go to a drag race, because there's just so much to see. And when you're like, okay, I'm done looking at the racing, I want to go look at the cars up close, you can do that.
That's pretty awesome. So Dina, did you face any obstacles of, you transitioning from, you're hanging up your ice skates? You just recently said you're skating again, but just hanging up and you're pursuing this passion. Did you have people that were like all on board about like, yeah, Dina, go for it, you can do this? Or did you have, some naysayers in the corner like, you kidding me? You're 5 feet tall. You're going to be in this car. You should stick to skating. Because you'll get some of those ones that just look at you like, Dina, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
She'll never make it. They'll go behind the scenes and say all that kind of crazy stuff about you.
Yeah, I have to say, my dad was not the biggest proponent of me doing this. Now, I was always a bit of an adrenaline junkie. When I skated in the ice show, I did numbers where I flew over the audience. I also did numbers like those girls in the circus that hang by their wrist, and get spun around. Yep, did that. No harness, no nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, no, yeah. So, and it was 21 feet in the air. Hello. Yeah. Anyway, I think back, I'm like, what was I thinking?
Y'all that are not watching, my mouth and jaw almost dropped. Like, she's like, there's no.
I'll have to see if I could send you. I had a video that I had posted. I'll have to see if I can send it to you. It's funny because I remember my dad, he panicked with that. My mom was not the panicker. It was always my father. And I really didn't get too much pushback. I was lucky that way. And I think one of the reasons for that is the fact that in drag racing, as opposed to NASCAR, again, not an act to NASCAR, it's a, an observation.
Yeah.
We really don't need any type of like diversity training in drag racing. There's everything you can think of in drag racing, and nobody thinks twice about it. There are women like Shirley Muldowney and my good friend Bunny Burkett that really paved the way for us. And I have some people had said to me, "Well, you helped to pave the way." I'm like, no, there were people that came before me. They just passed the torch. You know what I mean? And we've had some wonderful women in our sport. I mean, Erica Enders, she's a 4 or 5-time champion in pro stock. So we have a lot of women in the sport. There's every color of the rainbow that you can think of. And it's we've never thought twice about it in our sport, which is great.
So the year 2015 was a big year for you. Talk about the moment that you won the Pro Mod World Championship. So
it was a fun battle throughout the years, and it was my friend Bill Lutz and I that were the top two, and we had debuted the car in 2014, so this was like our first full season in this car in Stella, and we just had so much fun. And we actually didn't win a race. We were runner-up, but we were consistently up at the top for the races that we had. And when it came down to the last race, it was down to the wire, because we were like 36 points or something apart from each other. And my final race for the championship, I remember I was racing this guy, Robert Patrick, and we both took off, and then he kind of sputtered, I kind of sputtered, and I pedaled it, and I took the win light. So, okay, that was good. But I still wasn't out of the woods, because I think it came down to, if Bill won the next round, he could have taken the championship. So I think it was that close. And we were up at top end, which means way at the end of the racetrack, there's time for us to slow down. And then this was in Memphis, and Memphis kind of has this weird turnoff. And so we were up at the end of the turnoff, and there's no speakers or anything there, so we can't hear anything. So we're trying to look and see, and we're like, what's happening? We can't see. And when he came around the corner and he looked at me and he said, "Congratulations, you just won the championship." And I was like, wow. The guy who lost came to me and said, "Congratulations, you just won." I mean, we were friends, you know, you're competitors on the track, but we're friends off the track. So, and he was dealing with a lot of health issues and stuff too. So, I mean, kudos to him, because he killed it that year. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, that was the year that after we won the championship, I surprised my crew, much to their dismay, with light up tutus. And
awesome.
Although we won the championship, we still had racing left to do. Still had to finish the race itself. And I made them, our next pass, I made them go to the line in light up tutus. So it was my husband, Butch, and Quayne, and the three of them, the three boys, had to go up to the line with light up tutus. And it's actually become a tradition. It's something that every once in a while I'm like, oh, it's tutu time. And I have the boys put on their tutus and go out to the line. So.
And they're good sports about it. That's so cool that they do that. That's absolutely amazing.
Well, that was actually a bet. It started as like a kidding around bet with my husband about winning the championship, and then it just went from there. And like I said, now it's tradition. So now when we do it, people are like, "Oh, she's got the tutus out."
You had talked about women that paved the way for drag racing, and one of them that you mentioned is an amazing legend herself, Bunny Burkett, who suddenly we lost in the drag racing world in 2020. Talk about how much of an impact she had made upon this career for yourself, for women, and the legacy that she still leaves today. 3 years, to be close to the 3-year anniversary of her passing. I think it's coming up in April, right?
2020. It was April 2020. So when I met her, I didn't start racing till I was in my 30s. And I met Bunny, I think it was at Atco Raceway for the first time. And she was just such a shining light. Like, I've never met anyone, like, I swear, like, she glowed when she walked, like she was just, oh, like one of those. And she was always so gracious to everyone. Every fans never left disappointed. She was a consummate professional, but she also was a very, and I say this in the nicest way, she was always a very sexy, beautiful woman, but she was tough as nails. Like, she had both. She had everything. And she had a very, very horrific crash in, I think it was 93, where she almost lost her life. And she never wavered, ever. Like, she just always had just that great way about her. And she mentored me, because there were times I'd call her and I'd be like, "Bunny, blah, blah, blah." And she'd "Okay, here's what you're going to do." Okay. And then when we built Stella, she had put the note on the door. And people can go on my social media. Actually, I posted it on Instagram.
Beautiful note that she left you too.
And she wrote a beautiful note to me. And they surprised me with that, because I was having the car painted and she lived near where the painter is. And my husband took a picture of her signing the car, and just great memories. I don't know what I'm going to do if I ever sell the car. I'm going to have to take the door off and get a new one, because I'm not giving that up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she was, I don't even, like, I stutter when I talk about her, because there's just so many good things. I would never have a negative thing to say about her. She was such a support to me, and I know many other racers as well. So she's definitely dearly missed.
What is some, I know that you just said there's so many things that you could, talk about her and, so many great memories. What is one that stands out to you, a piece of advice or a conversation that you had with her that sticks with you, that will always stick with you for a lifetime?
So I had crashed when I was in my previous pro mod. We had crashed it a couple of times actually, and I was like, Bunny, I have to, and it was at the same racetrack. So I was like, Bunny, and that was her home track. I said, Bunny, I have to go back, and I'm fighting for the championship. It's in 2015. And she said to me, you're going to pace yourself. She said, you have to put it out of your mind, which is one thing that we have to do. She said, but you're going to pace yourself. She said, you're going to sit at the line. You're going to think about where you are. You're going to let the car go. You're going to she says, just keep in your frame of mind. And she said, and once you get to the end of the track the first time, you'll be fine. And she was right. She was right. We did a test pass, and it was a beautiful test pass. And that kind of ended the, the fear that I had. I don't want to say it was a fear. It was more of an apprehension. Because I always tell people, always ask me, are you afraid of the car? And I'm like, I'm not afraid of it. I respect it, but I'm not afraid of it. And there's a difference there. If you're afraid of it, you shouldn't be in it. And that's fine. It's not for everybody. But if there's a fear there, you're going to make mistakes. So, but if you have a respect for it, then oh, okay, well, it's a little stronger than me, and I just have to pay attention.
I like that you broke down. There is a difference between apprehension and fear. Fear is like you put a stop at all of it because, you let fear block you from getting to that next level, or apprehension, you just take a pause and you're like, I'm going to overcome this. How am I going to overcome this? When am I going to overcome this? And how am I going to make this happen? And I like that you had said that you just had an apprehension and not a fear.
Yeah. And that can happen often in our sport. You can be in the same lane, you can be in the same race as someone and they have a wreck.
Yeah.
You yourself can have a wreck. Different things can happen. And that's one thing you'll notice if anyone who sees me on social media, I'm a big proponent for safety gear. Wear all your safety gear. Wear extra safety gear. Yeah. Because you never know what can happen at any time. Be amazed. I've seen things happen that you would never think. I also never watched the car ahead of me. So when we're sitting behind what they call the water box, so how the process goes is when it's your run, you roll through the water box and then you do a burnout, with the big smoke behind you. But before it's your turn, you're sitting behind the water box while the other cars are going. And I never watch the cars ahead of me. And there's a reason for that, because if someone does have a mishap, I don't want to view it from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot you have to be good to your brain. And no matter what sport you're in, you have to remember certain things are going to happen. So if you can avoid things that are going to make you apprehensive, then you do so. Better to be proactive than reactive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. I love this quote that you have. Once I read it, I read it again. And when I read something that, is powerful, such as this quote that you have, as I always say, in life, you get one ticket and I'm using mine until it expires. And I read that and I'm like, she's using her one ticket so using your one ticket. And I had to read it again. And I'm like, you'll have that aha moment that just click right into your head when you read something like this. I absolutely love this quote, how you said it. Yeah. I think of, the conversation we just had and, the career that you're still having, and you're using your ticket until it expires. So you have your own business, you're into drag racing, you did the ice capades, everything. What's the next level? What's next for Dina Parise? What's next for Dina Parise Ventures?
Well, so we've been out of the racing realm for a couple of years, between COVID, life, just things have happened. And excuse me, we're working our way back. We got a new to us trailer. it's an old trailer. My husband's been refurbishing it and it looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to get a truck to tow it with. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
So we're working our way back and looking to run a full season in 24. So this is definitely a regrouping year. I need new safety equipment, things like that. And these things, they take time, they take money. So we're just gathering everything together. And I like to be fully prepared before I go out and compete. So we're going to get everything together and then do some testing. And I kind of got to get my feet wet again too. And it's been a couple of years. I want to get comfortable again in the car.
Yeah.
And my husband's also made some changes on the car. So there's data that we don't have. For anyone not familiar, we record everything. So, I mean, from in-car cameras for what I do, we have a data recorder in the car that records everything from, your oil pressure to your drive shaft to everything. And they look at all that data and that's how they tune the car.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And it's all in tune with the weather and whatnot. So, there's, so we're kind of starting out again because we have some things that we need to work out, but I'm looking forward to it. We're looking for marketing partners to join the team with us, to work with us in 24. And, it's a good opportunity for anybody. I enjoy doing my marketing. I do a lot of social media. So, we're looking forward to getting back in the game. Like I said, I'm 56. No, not
and don't look like it, by the way, if you're just listening and not watching. She does not at all look like she is in her 50s, but continue.
I'm Italian. It's the olive oil. I'm convinced. So, I like to tell people, I read a few things the other day that really made me want to send this point home. Women that are of a certain age, 50 and over, let's just say.
Yeah.
Feeling like they're invisible. So many women in this one particular post said, I feel invisible. Now, I'm not a mom, so I don't have the empty nester syndrome and all of that, which I have friends and my heart breaks for them. But everything is so focused. And when I say everything, I mean social media and I mean even marketing. It's so focused in on young people. Now, there's nothing wrong with young people. They're young. Hey, more power to you. I wouldn't mind being there again, but I'm not. People are like I said, these women are starting to feel invisible. We need to lift one another up. We also need to not be afraid to try something. Now, listen, I'm not saying get in a race car or get in a race car. You know what I mean? But there are so many opportunities out there for women that you can take advantage of.
Yeah.
Let's just say you like racing, but you don't want to drive a race car. There's hospitality. There's marketing. There's so many things that women or anyone can do. And I don't want women, I hate hearing that women like that feel invisible. Now, do I struggle sometimes because, we had a company, I won't say the company, it was a big company, and it was a product that people could use from the time they were a teenager until the time you were, you know what I mean? And they loved everything about, I say us, I mean me and my husband, because many times you'll see me and my husband together and he's my crew chief and it's always he and I, but they loved everything about the team. They loved what I did, but they didn't like my age. Although, what does that have to do with anything that we just talked about? Because your product can be utilized by anyone. So why turn me down because what? I'm not pretty enough. I have a little more wrinkles than you want. I might have little circles under my eyes. I get it. I'm not what's her name? Hadid, right?
Yeah, Gigi Hadid. Yeah.
Yeah, well, not Gigi Hadid. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I didn't understand was people who buy products many times are regular people. They're you, they're me, they're regular people.
Right.
Why do you feel like you got to be so fancy? Why can't you have real people
Mm-hmm.
advocating for your company? And I said, hey, that's fine. I'll just go to your competitor. That's good.
Yeah. You would think in their mind, you would want real people to connect with real people that are trying to, check out the product that may be your potential buyers. You would think somewhere in their finite business brain,
yeah,
that is what they want. That's such an
and in my
point.
mind, I know when I see an advertisement on TV, I don't see real people. And I get it. Sometimes they're paid or they do give them a little bit of a script, but they're real people.
Yeah.
I see real people, and no disrespect to anyone who's, stars or whatever, but we the majority of the people in this country are not, an A-list celebrity or model or you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I think we need to talk to people like they're people.
I agree.
So that's
Because authenticity matters.
and there's a lot of that missing these days.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like everything's always, and Instagram, everything's perfect. I'm a freaking train wreck half the time, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I want people to see the fact that I'm a train wreck or I suffer from severe migraines. And I'll post about that because I want people to know that people see the racing and they think, ooh, and I'm like, it's a big part of my life, but it's not my life. Like when you were live on Instagram before, I was cleaning the toilet. Sorry, but I was cleaning the bathroom while I was watching and listening to your Instagram live. So, we're real people, like we just real stuff. So, and I think that needs to be taken into account.
Yeah, because after, we have this amazing conversation, guess what? I have laundry that won't fold itself and put itself in the drawers or hang all the pants up. Like it's got to get done. It keeps looking at me like, anytime, sis, you want to put this up? We're right here.
Exactly. And back again to the women feeling invisible, that I'm really going to start to try to create a platform where women can swing in and be like, and look, I'm not any kind of guru or anything. I'm just, again, I'm a woman of their age where they can swing in and be like, I'm just not feeling it today, and we're going to have times like that, but we need to be our own advocate so that we don't feel invisible. We need to be our own advocates, and however we make that happen, we make it happen together.
I love that, because together we can cause so many things to happen with great. When we put our differences aside, when we don't compare with one another, we just go and genuinely support one another in whatever venture that, someone is pursuing, already in, or they need advice. I mean, women, we can be so powerful if we just lift each other up and we just come together and say, hey, I got your back. Or, hey, Dina, I love what you're doing. I love that you're race car driving. I love that, your story from, going from ice skating and then stepping into this big realm of drag racing. That's inspiring me to, go back to school, or it's inspiring me to start a business. What I wanted to ask you before I get you out of here is that you have connected with so many people and so many fans. Is there one particular story that, you would love to share of a fan, that interaction, that connection that they had with you, that you still think about from time to time?
There's so many. So many. We've worked a lot with veterans in the past, so I have veterans that I still keep in touch with, that we did programs for, and I still have a young girl named Evie, who I met her and her sister and her mom and dad at US 131 in Michigan.
Hey, shout out to Michigan.
And we have stayed in touch. ever since, she's all grown now. She's all grown up. So, but she's on my social media and she's like, when are you coming back? And I'm like, hopefully next year. And I have a little connection to Michigan too. So, and I'm going to preface this with my condolences to everyone for that horrific situation that happened at Michigan State.
Thank you.
I have very fond memories of Michigan State. 1979, my coaches from Long Island actually had a skating camp there at Michigan State.
Oh, wow.
And so I stayed there for an entire summer.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. We stayed at Yakeley Hall, which I don't know if it's still there. It was an older building, and it was really creepy. And I'm convinced to this day that it was haunted.
Trust and believe you're not the only one that's had stories about that.
I could swear I heard that piano playing in the middle of the night by itself. But and then we went to Holden Hall. Mm-hmm. And here's my takeaway. They had that right down in the base of like the last floor, like the basement deep thing. They had these couches that had wheels. And we used to race them down the hallway, like push them and race them down the hallway. I remember going to skating camp and pushing and racing couches down the hallway because they had wheels on them. There's my big takeaway.
See, listen, you were putting your drag racing dreams in existence, and it all started with couches.
I was wishing
there.
Oh, see, there we go. Okay, I'll take that.
That is so awesome. How can everybody stay connected with you through social media?
Anywhere. Just look for Dina Parise. I do have a couple of Instagrams right now because I was having an issue with one, so we'll see what happens. You can go to Dina Parise Ventures and you can kind of find everything there. One quick note I did want to make is that one of the charities that I work with is Hello Gorgeous of Hope. Miss Kim Becker, she's the founder, and they say they restore the beauty that cancer steals. So what they do is they run programs for women with cancer. They educate them about what's happening with their skin and their hair and or lack thereof. And they make women feel that have cancer, any type of cancer, feel better about themselves and be able to kind of go through the process, but still feel good. And I'll just give you a little quick. That's them.
That is beautiful. I like
that. So I did want to, we got so awesome. I wanted to mention that quick. So, and if anybody needs any information, just ask me.
Definitely want to follow and support. This is so delightful to talk to you and what you're doing. I'm excited for you. I want 2024 to just hurry up and get here because I definitely somehow want to watch you live. I've never been to a drag race car show, never been to any kind of race car show, never been to NASCAR or anything else. So that is literally on my list because I wrote 50 things that I want to do in my 50s. So I just turned 50 a few weeks ago. And so definitely I wrote on there going to different sports ventures and everything else. So that is one of the things that I want to do. So definitely want to watch.
Well, we'll get you out there. I'm hoping that we'll get to 131. Which is in Michigan, and we'll get you out there and don't come dressed too nice because I will probably put you to work.
I'm in. Put me in, coach. I will definitely be there, part of the crew. You just scribble my name on the bottom of everybody else, and I will rock a pink tutu with lights. I will make that happen. I'll have no shame doing that. Dina, you are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. And for everybody that was watching and listening, thank you so much for tuning in. And as I always end the show, take care, stay safe. We're out of here.